Hi guys, welcome to part 4 of my build of the Cameo Lotus 9090. I came across some problems when I put this video together. The hard disk of my computer broke down, so I have to use my iPad to edit the video, which is quite okay, except my video camera record in MTS format, which cannot be read by any of my mobile devices. So I have to skip those footages and make another video when my computer is fixed. And here is the stage of the model that's in right now. And here are the process I went through to reach to this stage. And here you can see that I used the spraying can to prime a couple of pieces, which I can still manage to get and put into this video. I use a short burst method and start away from the parts, then go across the parts and stop after crossing the parts completely. And here are other components that don't need any filling to get a smooth finish, and they are all set for priming. And here is the rear wing and the bottom tray primed and sand for smooth finish, while other parts are waiting for the primers. Now you can see the body have been sprayed with primer gray and then been sanded and waiting for our next primer coat. And here is how I prep the other parts for painting. I mask off the gluing area for a stronger bond. For some component, I use alligator clip to hold it for painting. While some I drill holes on the chopsticks and glue them to the chopstick with super glue. And of course I also use blue tack to stick part to the disposable chopsticks. And here is the instrument panel glued to the end of the chopstick with super glue. While some other smaller item I will glue them or stick them onto a brass wire for painting. And for the bottom tray, I make use of the screw to screw the parts onto the end of the disposable chopsticks. For the parts that needs to be finished in camel yellow, I use a white primer. And for the photo etch parts, I use Mr. Metal Primer from Gunze. And here is the airbrush I use to spray model cars. It's a Colani from Hutter and Spinback, and the nozzle is 1 mm wide. Here I start spraying the metal primer. I test on a roll of toilet paper, and then I blow off the dust from the parts before I start painting. I make sure it has good coverage of the parts, especially the edges. And then next I paint the white primer. Since the primer had been thin previously, so all I have to do is make sure it's completely mixed. Again, I blow off the dust from the parts before painting. Usually it takes 2 to 3 coats to get a solid foundation for the color. Here is the rear wing. This is the bottom wing of the rear wing setup. And then for the end plates, again, I try to make sure all the edges are being covered by the primer. And also keeping the paint as thin as possible. And here is the second coat of primer. This time I make sure all the nooks and crannies are well covered by the primer. Same for the rear wings. And also the end plates of the wings. And for the parts that needs to be finished in black, I use a black primer from Gunze. I start with the bottom tray and blow off the dust first. Even though this part should be finished in flat black, you really shouldn't just dust the paint on. You really should give it a wet coat. It will go flat when it dried. This ensures the paint sticks strongly onto the parts. To make sure the wheels are completely covered with the primer and the paint, I usually use very thin strokes to ensure that all the paints go into the inside of the wheels. And now the white primer is completely dried. It creates a solid white background for the camel yellow. To keep things simple, again I use a spraying can. This is Tamiya's TS34, the designated camel yellow. Here I blow off the dust from the parts. And start spraying with a short burst method. Here, keeping the paint thin is very important. A number of thin coats it's preferred over one thick coat of paint. Here I mask off the parts that needs to be painted in black with posted stickers. Now I apply second coat of camel yellow. The color starts to become a very solid yellow. Here all the parts are painted. Even though I just used a spraying can, you can see the paint comes out pretty smooth and thin. Now here's the part that I cannot put into this video. Just pretend you have seen it. Now the decaling is complete. Next is to give it a clear coat. Normally I'll use 2K clear. This time I'll use GX100 from Gunze. Now I apply the second coat of clear. For the parts that needs to be finished in flat black, I use Gunji number 33. I have some already thinned, so here I mix them all up and ready to paint. Since most of these parts are very small, I switched to my Mr. Hobby airbrush, which has a 0.3 mm nozzle. I make sure there is good coverage on the wheels. Okay, I'll end this part here. Next time when we come back, I'll try to finish the clear coat of the body and also detail painting of some of the parts, and hopefully putting the whole model together to finish it. Until next time, bye bye.